Now, Americans are still dealing with the fallout from the internet service outage. Amazon Web Services, a major provider of cloud hosting, went offline because of a problem with one of its core database products, and companies are still dealing with the internet issues. The total cost of the outage could reach hundreds of billions of dollars. Michael Yoshida joining us live with more on this crash. Michael, it's good to see you. Let's just start off by talking about just how many things are impacted by this. How are so many things in our lives impacted by a problem with this one service?
Hey, good afternoon. And yeah, it's been quite a day for many of us who rely on these web services, these web-based platforms. 1,000+ websites and services affected by this outage, millions of users worldwide impacted. And you mentioned, all comes back to Amazon Web Services, AWS. And this really is that internet-based cloud service that hosts so many of the world's most used online services, helping to connect businesses to customers and people through apps and online platforms. And the issue here today is really that AWS sits in the middle of so many things. Tech expert talking to us about how a lot of companies these days, they've offloaded their web services, their cloud-based services to Amazon. Essentially, think of Amazon building the house, building the infrastructure, and then these companies renting it from them. And that sounds great. It's way more affordable for these companies. But on days like today, you can see just how much chaos can happen because so many are reliant on it. Take a look at this list. You'll see all of some of the different industries, companies impacted by this outage. You have airlines, banks, social media, and more, all impacted. And this really goes to show the impact of consolidation in this industry, in these web-based, cloud-based services. Back in 2024, Amazon Web Services, it accounted for just under 40% of the global market share. So again, shows on a day like today, when you have so many reliant on that one service, something goes wrong, it can cascade, and then it can have global impacts, which many of us probably were dealing with and feeling today.
You know, it wasn't long ago when something similar happened. The last time there was a global internet service outage, I'm sure you remember that. What have we learned from that incident that we could apply to this time?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is just, again, that consolidation, how we have so many different companies, different industries relying on smaller and smaller number of these providers. You mentioned that last big one, that was in 2024. We had that CrowdStrike issue. That, again, similar to today where there were some issues with airlines. That one had major implications for flight delays, flight cancellations. We saw hospitals impacted with appointments disrupted. We had businesses impacted. So again, we're seeing this consolidation, and really those we spoke with today talk about how maybe there needs to be some focus on that, maybe some focus on some redundancies. Do as much as you can to have some sort of backup to prevent something like this from happening, because yes, it's a headache for us, but it also has big financial impacts. You look back to that CrowdStrike issue in 2024, reporting around that time was Fortune 500 companies lost more than $5 billion in direct losses. I think at the start you mentioned some of the estimates being put out already for this latest issue with AWS and the billions that could potentially be lost. So obviously headaches for us, but also big financial impacts too.
That's right. All righty, Michael Yoshida with the latest. Thanks so much, Michael. The heart of the AWS issues may be in Northern Virginia, where the company operates a massive data center. Here's what the facility does and why its impacting is so far-reaching. When we talk about the cloud, it may sound like something floating in the sky, but really it's a vast network of physical data centers spread across the globe. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, runs the largest one. It connects the world with its server hub, powering everything from apps to online shopping to smart home devices. In North America alone, AWS has major data centers in places like San Francisco, Calgary, and Columbus. But the busiest and most important is right here in Northern Virginia. This is AWS's U.S. East 1 region, a massive cluster of buildings filled with servers, and it's a digital lifeline for millions. These servers power the things that we use every day: Snapchat, Amazon's site, your Ring doorbell, even some airline check-in systems. When this hub fails, as it did this morning, the ripple effects reach around the world. It's all a reminder the cloud isn't just a tech buzzword. It's here, it's in our backyard, and it's what keeps the modern internet running.